Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Today we are going to make a ton of firewood. I've got the day off from my day job today for the holidays, and what I want to do is spend the majority of the day down here in the wood yard and pretend like this is my real job for the day. Kind of get a sense of what that might be like if we were to take that headfirst dive into doing firewood full time. So first we're going to start off with trying to clean up the rest of this pile of rounds. There's a pretty big pile here. It's probably going to take a few hours. We might get bored and call it quits on the Axis for a little while and hop over to the Yappa 365 firewood processor. Maybe we'll work our way back here, but at the end of the day, I want to say that I put in a full 8 hours worth of work down here in the wood yards and see how much firewood we can realistically make in one day. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and fuel up the Eastimate Axis. And one thing I wanted to mention is if you have a regular 5-gallon gas can that you bought within the last 10 years and it's got those stupid spill-proof spouts on it, one of the best purchases you can make for 10 or 20 bucks, I don't remember how much it was, but is a 3-pack of these old school, fill nozzles that you would have found in the 90s before the government got involved and decided they know how to make nozzles better. And it comes with a little breather on the back too. Basically takes a new gas can and takes it back 20 years to what they used to be like, and it's way more useful. So I'll have a link in the Amazon description down below to where we bought these, but geez, oh man, it's crazy that you have to buy a new gas can and then go out and buy a new spout for it too, because the one that comes on it is completely worthless. This right here reminds me of when I was a kid cutting lawns in the summertime. Never would have thought that gas cans would have gone the way they did. Not a drop spilled. I don't see what the big problem was. One thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about doing firewood full time is you can't forget about the weather. You are not going to be making firewood 365 days a year. There's going to be days where it's 100 degrees out and you don't feel like making firewood, or it's raining, and that's just the way it is. My nice cushy office job that I have, if it's negative 20 degrees or 100 degrees outside, I can guarantee you my office is going to be a nice climate controlled 70 degrees. But looks like today we're going to be dodging raindrops to get some firewood made. Well, we got ourselves another little rain delay. I think it's a good time to punch off the clock and go take a lunch break. All right, guys, little status update on how today is going. We got started about 10:30 a.m. this morning, and we split about a cord before we got rained out. Ended up going up to the house, taking about an hour lunch. Came back down about 1. It is now 2:45, and we got another 2 baskets split sitting over there. And that's about all the more I really want to do with the Eastimate Axis today. My back is starting to hurt, and it is getting pretty sloppy over here, if you couldn't tell by the tractor tires. We're making a pretty good mess. So here's the baskets we got done. So like I said, those 3 we got done this morning, and then we came back down and got those 2 done after. This basket here is all the offcuts and knots and junk pieces that we'll burn in our wood stove. All the rest of this we'll probably sell as campfire wood next summer. But since I'm getting tired, we're going to go ahead and start relying a little bit more on machinery. And we're going to head over to the Yappa 365 and start running some logs through the firewood processor. All right, guys, so there we go. It is about 5:30 p.m. We put in a good day's work, and we have 7 full baskets cut, split, and stacked. And we actually have a little bit more, I don't know if you can see in the dump trailer over there, but it's getting too dark to be out here stacking wood. There's probably another half to 3/4 of a basket sitting there in the dump trailer. And then I've got another half a basket worth of cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and say with the 7 that we have here, we probably have at least one more full basket. So I'm gonna say today we made 8 baskets of firewood, which each one of these baskets is about 1/3 of a cord. So that's just shy of 3 cords we made in one day today. All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this video up here in the garage where there's a little bit more light. So firewood full time, let's talk about it. So we took a full day today and we made 2.5 cords of firewood. Now that might not sound like a lot, but you got to keep in mind, I'm just one guy working by myself. We had some rain delays. And another thing you got to keep in mind is all of that wood is stacked. So not only did we cut it and split it, it's also all stacked and in the drying yard ready to go. I know from experience, each one of those baskets takes about 15 minutes to stack. So sitting down there right now is almost 2 hours worth of stacking time. So you've got to factor that into how much wood I was able to produce today, is the time it took to actually stack the baskets as well. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that was running through my head while I was down there making all the firewood, pretending like this was my full-time gig. And the first is, even though we were able to make 2.5 cords of firewood today, you're not going to be making 2.5 cords of wood every single day. We already talked about one of the reasons why, and that is weather-related delays. Another one is you're going to have administrative days. I mean, you're going to be running a business. You're going to be taking phone calls, answering emails. You're going to have to be delivering the firewood as well. So production is a very small piece of the puzzle. I think realistically, you're probably, if you're just a one-man band, probably 2 to 3 days a week you're going to be making firewood. 1 to 2 days a week you're going to be delivering firewood, and 1 to 2 days a week you're probably going to be doing something on the administrative end, as far as, you know, think you got to file your taxes too and keep all of your reporting. So things like that take time. There's not going to be anybody that's going to do it for you. So now we're going to jump into a little bit of math, and I've got some notes here. If we are able to make 2.5 cords a day, and let's say we've got 2 production days a week, the rest is what we just talked about, administrative, sales calls, all that. That means we're making 5 cords a week times 52 weeks in a year. That's 260 cords a year. I know that doesn't account for taking a week off for vacation or holidays or anything. Let's just call it 260 cords a year is what you're able to make. I think that's probably where a lot of smaller firewood producers are at. You've got the big guys that make thousands of cords a year. But I think there's a lot of people in that sweet spot of 250 cords a year. And around here, I think you could sell a cord of firewood, $350 a cord all day long, no problem. And I know that varies all around the country. Every time we talk about $350 a cord of wood, people always say, oh, that's crazy expensive. Or some people up in Canada say, oh, that's crazy cheap. So if you're one of those people that wants to let me know that that's a crazy price for firewood, be my guest, but I've heard it all before. So at $350 a cord, and if we're going to make 260 cords a year, that's $91,000 worth of revenue. Sounds pretty good, right? But that's just revenue. We haven't factored in any expense at all. I know from our past experience, I actually did a video on this, how much it costs us to make 1 cord of firewood. And with the equipment that we have, and accounting for depreciation and fuel and my time and all that, it cost me about $167 a cord to make a cord of firewood. So what we're actually netting is 350 minus the 167. We're actually netting 183 per cord. So if you now multiply that by the 260 cords that we're able to make in a year, you're really taking home about $48,000 a year. And you're not actually taking that home. That's before Uncle Sam takes his share. So let's say if you multiply that by 0.75, you're really only going to be taking home somewhere in the ballpark of $34,000 a year. Tell you what, that is a tough way to make a living, making 260 cords of wood a year and only getting to keep about $34,000 of it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The second thing I was thinking about while I was down there pretending like this was my real gig was, what if I got hurt? You know, making firewood is riddled with hazards. You've got chainsaw chains, you've got logs that are rolling down off of piles that could pinch you and crush you. all different ways to smash your fingers. You know, you're walking on uneven ground all the time. So, I mean, you could twist an ankle very easily just walking in the wood yard. So I think one thing that's really worth mentioning is if you're planning on doing the sole proprietor firewood business thing, I would definitely make sure you had short-term and long-term disability insurance, just because if you've got a family relying on you and you go down for 6 months to a year or longer, who's going to provide? Another thing I was thinking about while I was down there making that firewood was, man, am I tired? Man, is my back getting sore? And I know I've got equipment doing a lot of the stuff, but I'm still lifting the logs up. I'm still rolling the logs to the splitter. I'm still stacking all of that wood. Like I said, we've got about 2 hours worth of stacking down there. That's a lot of bending over. And I'll tell you what, my back does feel it. Even though the equipment was doing most of the work, you've got to keep in mind, I am an accountant. I work 40 hours a week behind a desk. And so when I go out there and work a full 8-hour day, that is not my norm. And there's something to be said for that. I think it's a two-edged sword. Making firewood for your entire life is going to wear out your body faster, but you're probably going to be in better shape if that's what you did 40 hours a week versus sitting behind a laptop 40 hours a week. Anyway, those were kind of some of the thoughts that were running through my head while I was pretending like this was my real gig today. If you have anything to add to the conversation, please leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this one, give us a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.